The footprints should not have been there. The storm had been raging all night, swallowing everything in white. Snow fell so thick it erased the world every few seconds. The temperature outside my cabin was minus 24 degrees Celsius. Even animals didn't move in this kind of cold. Yet when I opened the door that morning, I saw them. Bare human footprints. Not frozen. Not covered. Still wet. They stood perfectly in the snow, starting from the dark forest and ending right at my doorstep. And the worst part? They were facing outward. As if someone had been standing at my door. Listening. Why I came to the cabin. I didn't come to the mountains for peace. I came to hide. 3 months earlier, my wife, Emma, died in a car accident during a snowstorm. Everyone called it an accident. The police. The doctors. Even my family. But I knew the truth. I was driving. I was tired. And I didn't stop when I should have. After the funeral, the silence in our house became unbearable. Every sound reminded me of breathing that wasn't there anymore. So when I found an old hunting cabin for rent, deep in the mountains, miles from the nearest town, I took it without thinking. No internet. No neighbors. No witnesses. Just snow. The man at the town store looked at me strangely when I told him where I was staying. Cabin 17, he asked quietly. No one stays there in winter. I asked why. He didn't answer. He only said one thing before I left. If you hear footsteps at night, don't open the door. The first night. The cabin was small but sturdy. Thick wooden walls. A fireplace. 1 bedroom. The kind of place meant to survive winters. That first night, the wind howled like something alive. Snow hit the walls so hard it sounded like fists pounding from outside. Around 2:13 a.m., I woke up. Not because of the wind. Because of footsteps. Slow. Crunching. Right outside the cabin. I held my breath and listened. 1 step. Then another. Heavy. Bare. They circled the cabin once. Then stopped right outside my bedroom wall. I waited. Minutes passed. Nothing. Eventually, exhaustion pulled me back into sleep. The second night. I found something strange in the morning. Marks in the snow. Not full footprints, more like drag marks, as if something had been pulled across the ground. They led from the forest to the side of the cabin, and disappeared. That night, the footsteps returned. This time, they were inside. Not on the floor. In the walls. A slow scraping sound, like nails dragging across wood. I pressed my ear against the wall, my heart racing. Then I heard breathing. Cold. Wet. Close. A whisper followed, so faint I almost missed it. You didn't stop. I spent the rest of the night sitting by the fire, gripping a knife. The memory I buried. On the 4th night, the power went out. The fire died. The cold crept in. And so did the memories. The road. The storm. The man standing in the headlights. Barefoot. Confused. I remembered how the car hit him. How his body rolled. How I froze. And how I drove away. I never told anyone. The police said the body was never found. The snow had taken it. The footprints inside. On the 6th morning, I woke up to silence. No wind. No storm. I stepped out of bed, and froze. Footprints covered the cabin floor. Bare. Wet. Leading from the door to my bed. They ended right beside where my head had been. That night, I didn't lock the door. I knew it wouldn't matter. At 3 a.m., the footsteps came. Slow. Deliberate. They stopped at my bed. The mattress sank. Cold weight pressed against my chest. A voice whispered directly into my ear. You left me to freeze. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. Cold fingers wrapped around my ankle. And pulled. The end. The storm cleared the next day. A search team found the cabin empty. The door wide open. Inside, everything was untouched, except the bed. The sheets were frozen solid. And in the snow outside, 2 sets of bare footprints led away from the cabin. Side by side. Back into the forest. The radio turned on by itself at exactly 2:17 a.m. I know the time because that was the moment my car finally died in the snow, and the moment I realized I was completely alone. No signal. No lights. No other cars. Just endless white roads and a radio that began speaking in a calm, professional voice. Tonight's emergency broadcast is for one individual only. If you are hearing this, it is already too late. Then it said my name. How I got stranded. I wasn't supposed to be on that road. The weather warning had been clear, severe winter storm. Do not travel. But I ignored it. I always did. I had just lost my job, my apartment, and almost everyone I cared about. Driving gave me control, something my life didn't have anymore. The snow started light. Then heavier. Then violent. By the time I realized I was in trouble, the road had vanished completely. White sky, white ground, no horizon. Just me and my car cutting through nothing. At -30 degrees Celsius, the engine coughed once, twice. And died. I screamed. Not out of fear, out of anger. That's when I saw the motel. The motel that shouldn't exist. The sign flickered weakly through the storm. Winterline Motel, vacancy. Every window was dark. No cars. No footprints. No sound. But the front door was unlocked. Inside, it was warm. Too warm. The lobby smelled old, dust, metal, and something faintly rotten. A counter sat at the front. No receptionist. No bell. Just a radio. Old. Cracked. Already plugged in. The moment I stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind me. The radio turned on. The first broadcast. Static filled the room. Then a voice. This station does not broadcast to the public. I froze. This message is intended for a single stranded driver. Male. Early 30s. Wearing a black winter coat. That was me. The radio crackled again. You are currently experiencing mild hypothermia. You believe the building you are inside is shelter. My heart began to race. It is not. I grabbed the radio and unplugged it. The voice continued. From the walls. Time begins to break. I tried my phone. No signal. No emergency calls. When I looked at the clock behind the counter, it read 2:17 a.m. It didn't move. Minutes passed. Then hours. Still 2:17. The hallway behind the lobby stretched impossibly long. Doors lined both sides, each marked with a number. I opened room 6. Inside was my car. Buried in snow. With me inside it. Frozen. Eyes open. Mouth wide in a silent scream. I slammed the door shut and ran. The radio gets closer. The radio returned. This time from the ceiling speakers. Denial phase detected. I covered my ears. Core body temperature dropping. Hallucinations intensifying. Every door I opened showed a different version of my death. Frozen in the bathtub. Collapsed in the hallway. Curled under the motel bed. Then the voice said something worse. This is not your first time here. The truth. Memories flooded back. Another winter. Another road. Another storm. Years ago, I had passed a man stranded in the snow. He waved. Begged. I didn't stop. The radio whispered. You left him to freeze. Just like someone left you. The motel wasn't shelter. It was a waiting room. The final announcement. The temperature dropped suddenly. Frost climbed the walls. The radio spoke one last time. Broadcast complete. Subject time of death, 2:17 a.m. The lights went out. The cold finally reached my heart. Epilogue. Search teams later found my car, half buried on a road that didn't appear on any map. No motel nearby. No radio. Just my body. Frozen. With my mouth open. As if I had been trying to speak. The heater was working. I checked it 3 times. The thermostat said 22 degrees Celsius. The pipes were fine. The power was stable. Everything in the house said warm. So why did my breath still fog the air? And why did the cold feel like it was coming from inside the walls? Why I was alone. Winter had trapped me in that house. My husband worked night shifts in another city. The roads were closed due to heavy snowfall, and my children were staying with my sister until the storm passed. The house was old. Quiet. Isolated. But it wasn't unfamiliar. I had lived there for 6 years. Nothing strange had ever happened. Until the first cold night. The first sign. It started subtly. At exactly 1:40 a.m., every night, the temperature dropped suddenly. Not slowly, instantly. Like someone had opened a door to the outside. The cold didn't spread evenly. It moved in patches. The hallway first. Then the living room. Then the bedroom door. Always stopping right outside my bed. I wrapped myself in blankets. Turned the heater higher. Wore layers. Nothing helped. At 1:55 a.m., the cold retreated. By morning, everything felt normal again. The sound in the walls. On the 4th night, I heard it. A soft sound behind the bedroom wall. Not scratching. Not knocking. Breathing. Slow. Deep. Careful. As if someone was sleeping inside the wall. I pressed my ear against it. The breathing stopped. Then a whisper followed, so quiet I thought I imagined it. Don't sleep. The cold moves closer. Each night, the cold stayed longer. By the 7th night, it reached the foot of my bed. My toes went numb. I noticed something strange, frost forming on the inside of the window. That shouldn't happen. The walls began to feel damp. And the mirrors, every mirror in the house, fogged up at the same time, even when no one was there. One night, a message appeared on the bathroom mirror. Written from the inside. Stay Awakith dream I couldn't wake from. On the 10th night, exhaustion won. I fell asleep. The walls were breathing. And something was lying beneath the floorboards. It whispered my name. I woke up screaming. The bedroom was freezing. My blanket was stiff with frost. And someone was standing at the bedroom door. Not moving. Not breathing. Just watching. When I blinked, it was gone. The history of the house. The next morning, I searched Old Town records online. I found one article. Family found frozen inside home, winter of 1987. No power outage. No storm damage. No explanation. They froze in their sleep. All except one. The mother. Her body was never found. The wall opens. On the 14th night, the breathing returned, louder. The wall behind my bed felt soft. Pulsing. I pressed my hand against it. Something pressed back. The whisper returned, clearer now. You took my warmth. The wall cracked open. Not broken. Opened. Inside wasn't wood or insulation. It was skin. Frozen. Blue. Breathing. A woman's face emerged, eyes white with frost, mouth trembling. Mothers don't get to rest, she said. We keep the house warm. The final night. The power went out at 1:40 a.m. The cold didn't stop this time. It flooded the room. I couldn't move my fingers. My legs went numb. The woman crawled out of the wall, dragging cold behind her like fog. She touched my chest. And smiled. Your turn. Epilogue. Weeks later, my husband returned. The house was sealed shut. Inside, everything was untouched. Except the bedroom. They found me in bed. Frozen solid. Eyes open. Peaceful. And when they turned the heater on, the house finally felt warm again.